Welcome to some new r/petty revenge stories, where people share stories of small victories over those that wronged them. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called It Squeaks. My small studio apartment really only had one place that made sense to put a bed, so my upstairs neighbor's bed was inevitably directly above my own. I never met them in the year I lived there, yet I became thoroughly acquainted with the fact that their bed squeaked. At the time, awaking me from a dead sleep at 3 in the morning required vigorous levels of squeaking, but my neighbor managed it several times a week with impressive duration. It took a while, but I eventually decided on an appropriate response to what was, after all, an unintended if very real annoyance. I just needed to wait for the next squeakphonic performance to put it into effect. The wait was not a long one. 26 years later, I still fondly imagine their reaction the next morning to finding on their doormat a large can of WD-40 with the note attached reading simply, "Your bed squeaks." Whatever that reaction actually was, I never heard another squeak from them. The next story is called No Cheating for You. This happened during my senior year of college. I was assigned to be in a group with 2 people, one girl and one boy, for a final project. The girl refused to communicate with us for the project, so I and the other guy had to do everything. The professor didn't care when we brought it up to him. During the final test, she came in late and sat in the back. She looked like she was on her phone looking for answers. I finished my exam early and handed it in. When I left, I turned on the option where my phone calls become private and spam called her for the next 30 minutes so she couldn't cheat. The third story is called Just a Soda. Back some years ago, I worked at a gas station convenience store. It was a very straightforward job with much more sitting involved than actual work. I honestly enjoyed the job because it felt very balanced. The workload was not heavy, and at the same time I would say about 90% of the customers were very pleasant, with some regulars that I absolutely loved. Occasionally you would get a jerk customer, but it was never anything I couldn't handle, nor was it extreme, to begin with. Most days, if I had a bad customer, it was typically just someone who decided that the price of gas and cigarettes was somehow my fault, but still nothing I lost sleep over. I honestly feel the hardest thing about this job, at least for me, was the mental aspect of it. I mean this in the sense of watching the same customers blow all their money on lottery tickets and saying it only takes one, and then coming back the next day and doing it all over again. Or the entitlement of well-off people who can't be bothered to say hello, please or thank you. This is a me thing, as in I'm trying to put myself in their mindset, but stressing myself out for nothing, trying to make sense out of all of it. All in all though, it was a good starting job, at least for where my experience was. I can understand those who feel the opposite, as I had friends in the same company that had worse experiences/interactions than me. With that out of the way, let me tell you a petty story about a lady who came in to buy a soda. This day I had a lot of $1 bills coming into my register. Normally it was more $20 bills than anything. We didn't start off with a lot of money in the register and would have posters up encouraging our customers to pay with the smallest bill possible for this reason. Plus, we didn't keep a lot of $20 bills on hand, as we had to deposit them into our safe once they accumulated, and any $50 or $100 bills were deposited immediately. Once they were in the safe, we had no way of getting them out. There have been plenty of days just starting a shift where I had to refuse service for people who only had $100 bills. Otherwise, I would be screwed on change for the rest of the day. This lady and her friend walk in, and the lady decides that she wants to get a fountain drink and starts filling her cup. She fills it just a little bit and then stops and takes a drink. She does this again a second time, a third, a fourth, a fifth, etc. She does it for a good 5 minutes straight, I would say. Now, I would like to speak up and say something, but the owners of the store unfortunately couldn't care less about us doing the right thing and more about the customers coming back. So I just stood there annoyed while they basically drank 2 refills worth of soda. She finally makes her way over to the counter after raising her blood sugar plenty and is ready to pay. Her total comes out to $1.49. She pulls out her wallet and shuffles past a bunch of $1 and $5 bills and decides this is the perfect moment to pay with a $50 bill. This annoys me just due to her lack of consideration. She just stands and waits for me to grab her change while her friend is just standing on the side. I decided at that moment to be petty, and I proceed to grab her change of $84.51, all in ones and pennies. I hand her the messy and fat stack of money and she has a dumbfounded look on her face. Before she can say anything, I just tell her to have a nice day. She awkwardly backs away and leaves with her friend, and I just continue with my shift feeling like I had a small but petty victory. The next story is called Unintentional Revenge. I'm a female that works in IT and has done so for over 15 years at this point. I've done everything from tier 1 support to server management, and at one point was the IT manager for a company for many years. Needless to say, I'm pretty well versed in computers and troubleshooting. I had moved states and just started out at a new company, only been there a few weeks. A ticket came in for someone that basically said, "My computer isn't working." So I walked over to their desk to see what was going on. Being new, I'm very sweet, and I guess to some people it means I'm an idiot. The guy, I later learned was in his 50s and we'll call him Jack, angrily asked who I was and where was former technician. I explained he was no longer there and I was a new tech. He then asked for 2 other people who were both busy and finally just said I'll just wait till they are done. Now, I understand there are some people who just prefer to work with specific others, and that's fine, but this was not the case. I said, okay, no problem, I'll let them know and they can help when they are available. Being fairly new, I didn't want to make a big issue out of it, so I just let them both know he had asked for either of them specifically. Tom, Tech 1, just rolled his eyes and said, then he can wait. Bill, Tech 2, kinda chuckled and said, that's fine, I'll go over there this afternoon. For the next few hours, we were sharing stories of ridiculous tickets we have gotten in our careers and some of the jerks we have had to deal with. About 4 hours later, Bill decides to head over to Jack's desk to see what the issue was. He started ranting about his monitor flickering and going black every few minutes and how he hasn't been able to get any work done all day because we took so long to respond. And that now he's going to be late submitting his project that was due today. Bill fiddles with a few things and after about 30 minutes calls us up and specifically asks for me to come over. I get there and he explains what he saw and everything he checked so far but still couldn't get it working. No problem, let me have a look. Within 20 seconds I figured out the issue and within 5 minutes the issue was resolved. Jack just gave me a solemn thanks afterward. Bill made a big show of how I was such an awesome addition to their team and he was so glad I got hired there. We walked away and secretly I knew Bill knew how to fix it and it was all for show, but still I have an amazing team. I've not had a problem with anyone else in the company, other than the normal most people hate IT regardless. For anyone wondering, it was a driver. The last story is called Not Enough Revenge. In the height of summer and in the deep south of the USA, there were 3 siblings. 3 female, me, 6 female, 8 male, and their mom, 28 female. Mom had to take my sister to a last-minute doctor's appointment, so she left my brother and me with our trusted neighbor across the street, 28. Let's call her Barb. I was a sickly kid with separation anxiety, so I started crying after Mom left. When Barb couldn't get me to stop, she locked me in the hall closet with the light off until I calmed down. According to my brother, it was a full episode of Blue's Clues before I was let out. By the time Mom got back, he was watching TV and I was napping like nothing was amiss. She didn't think anything was wrong until my brother told her what had happened after we got home. No, Mom was a non-confrontational person, but she was spiteful and vindictive. She stewed for a day or 2 before coming to a boil. In the dark of early morning, she snugs over to Barb's, opened the control panel on the side of the house and turned off the AC. In the sweltering heat of that afternoon, Barb called Mom, not knowing she was angry, to complain that she had to pay $150 to have someone come out and fix the AC. The repairman didn't tell her it was just switched off. Their lack of integrity made this revenge so much better when Mom decided to do the same thing the next night. It was music to Mom's ears when Barb called again to complain that she had to shell out another $150 to the same repairman who still didn't tell her it wasn't broken. When Barb's AC broke for the 3rd day in a row, she decided to call a different repairman who happened to be a little more morally inclined. Barb was incensed when she called Mom with this news. Who would do such a thing? After Barb wised up and bought a lock for the control panel, Mom couldn't continue that punishment. She didn't feel like Barb had suffered enough though. This horrid woman looked Mom's 3-year-old in the dark she was terrified of and let her cry herself into exhaustion. Mom needed something that would last. Much of the southern USA had a hard time keeping their lawns green and healthy. It takes water and effort to maintain. Barb put a lot of water and a lot of effort into her yard. It was with great relish that Mom went out on the 4th morning and poured bleach all over Barb's beautiful green grass. From the moment the sun warmed Barb's lawn that summer until the grass died that fall, the whole neighborhood saw Mom's handiwork called Barb a slur from her own front yard. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories in today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. And I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.